May 24, 2025. People of Africa, 48 hours ago, the authorities of Burkina Faso provided more information about this seizure. This is not a seizure that happened 24 or 48 hours ago. This seizure has been ongoing since the month of April. It's been more than 2 months. What seizure are we talking about? The 900 motorcycles intended for the terrorist armed groups. Terrorist armed groups linked to Franco-Algerian mercenaries, 900 motorcycles, 164 tricycles, the three-wheel motorcycles and no doubt other equipment that came with them. Since this record seizure took place back in April, up until now, they were waiting for the concerned parties, the owners, to come forward and say, maybe there's been a mistake. I'm such and such merchant. This was headed to such and such destination. 2 months went by and not a single owner came forward. 2 months that simply led to the conclusion that these vehicles were intended for armed terrorist groups, the Franco-Algerian mercenaries. And which locality is at the heart of the issue mentioned? Is the locality of Korhogo. Where is that located? In Ivorian territory, currently administered held hostage by the Shamos. Gaspard Dieudonné, Mr. Alassane Dramane Ouattara, once presented as the great Sarkozy-style Democrat, now wants to run for a fourth term, and at what cost? Everyone can form their own opinion about that. People of Africa, 900 motorcycles. They say the net value of this seized merchandise is 750 million, excluding taxes. 750 million before taxes. Just imagine with taxes included, it's probably a deal worth nearly $1 billion or around $1 billion. 750 million, 900 motorcycles. Now we understand why every time the armies from the east destroy bases and equipment, mercenaries, Franco-Algerians and their gear, they still regularly have brand new motorcycles. I personally understand why the Algerian army has continually increased its defense budget, especially if we know that they decided to bring back the general. They had retired General Hassan, who is said to be a specialist in infiltrating terrorist networks. No, he is one of those who created these terrorists together with the DGSE on both sides. So the Franco-Algerian alliance, but they themselves say that this Franco-Algerian alliance must continue despite their differences to maintain their collaboration in the Sahel. Yet neither France nor Algeria are Sahel countries. Algeria is in the Sahara. What business does Algeria have in the Sahel? France is on the other side of the Mediterranean. What is this business in the Sahel? And yet, all their cooperation, even the agreement between Mauritania and Algeria, revolves somewhat around this. So, understand what that means. The military cooperation agreement between Uncle Sam and the Tebboune regime is also about this. All this is against the countries of Israel, precisely the 3 countries of the east, the 3 countries of the south. All right, we see everything. But this record seizure directly contradicts a report that was put together by the influence media, the propaganda outlet F24, France 24, where they invited a so-called expert from an NGO who supposedly investigated the weapons here. To absolve themselves of responsibility for supplying weapons to these terrorist groups, they claim that the weapons are taken from local armies, meaning from the countries of the east. And the so-called expert puts forward the figure of 20%, saying that of all the weapons used by the terrorists, 20% come from local armies and 7% from former Libyan arsenals. That is from when Gaddafi was in power. So that makes 27%. And the other 73%, where do those weapons come from? Even the 20% supposedly seized here from local armies, that's not true. On the contrary, the eastern countries also seize a lot of weapons from terrorist groups, destroy many and capture many others. If you also assess the percentage rates for us, we regularly destroy between 40 and 50% of the weapons in the hands of the terrorists, but they are still being resupplied with weapons. So who is supplying them? Because they say they seize a few weapons here at certain security posts that might be attacked. They also need to mention the eastern countries. Even the other day, very close by, here in Mali, right by the river, some tourists were even drowned. A lot of weapons were recovered. So we also recover many weapons from the hands of tourists. So that argument put forward doesn't work. It doesn't hold up. To say that terrorists resupply themselves with weapons from local armies. On the contrary, local armies also resupply themselves with weapons from terrorists. So that cancels itself out. The first time the terrorists came to attack us, whose weapons did they come with? Since, as they say, they didn't yet have weapons from the local armies. With whose weapons did the terrorists, these Franco-Algerian mercenaries, attack the countries of the East? We want to be told who the owners of the weapons are. And again, you can see with me that this is a ridiculous argument that doesn't hold up. People of Africa, the most striking example, in this story, God is involved. Yes, because just a few days ago, they showed that no, those weapons actually came from over there. Now that all this has been seized, 2 months, 900 motorcycles, 164 tricycles, no one is coming forward. So where do the weapons come from? As for the other 73%, I'm still waiting for France 24 to give us those numbers to confirm where those weapons come from. And then to mire the population in confusion, do you know what their mercenaries do? They make people believe it's about issues of Islam. Because as they say, religion is the opium of the people. As soon as you talk about religion to people in these countries, though, certain Africans, they become completely emotional, even passionate, and don't understand, especially some fanatics. But look, the other day I saw a video showing how many bales, tons of cotton were set on fire, burned by these people. What kind of Islam is that? I want to know a single chapter in Islam that says you should burn the harvest. Even worse, the food supplies. I think that even some great religious leaders say that even throwing leftovers in the trash is not good. You should at least offer that to someone in need. And if there are people who claim to be religious, who come and burn food supplies, even worse, the harvest of peaceful farmers, of cultivators, they come and burn all their crops, the fruits of their entire year. If we know that here, it only rains maybe 3 months out of 12. So there's only one season to provide for the whole year. And they come and set all of that on fire. And now they tell some people that they are religious. The other day, someone told me that they went to a village and demanded that women be sent to help them with some work. Other people's wives, yet they're the ones insisting that women must be veiled, right? That she shouldn't even shake hands with another man. So at the very least, what are they doing coming to the villages to ask other men, give us your married women, your wives, so they can come out to the bush with us over there to take care of our needs? What kind of needs are these women supposed to fulfill? And now they're spreading misinformation, trying to make people believe they're really fighting for religion. The international media that support them lie all day long. And also, in order to recruit those who don't know any better, they keep lying, spreading misinformation, doing everything just to enlist a few people. They give you a motorcycle, a small bonus. They try to find informants. And if the AS army start to destroy them, wipe them out, they claim there have been human rights violations. I just don't understand, honestly. In the end, are terrorists the only ones who have human rights? It was this morning, I think, on the road to Kayes. These barbarians from another era, machines meant for building roads, because they say that the soldiers here aren't doing any work. They are present at every construction site to build the Kayes-Bamako road and repair part of the road, and yet it was attacked by these people, destroying the equipment, setting it on fire. Yet they make the people believe that they've been abandoned by the authorities. When the authorities start building roads, they come and burn the equipment, the heavy machinery. Who are they? Because they know that with roads, the army can move quickly, people can travel quickly, that's development, and people don't need their nonsense, their lies. Now, instead of letting people do their work, even in northern Mali, there was an entire dam, the Tausa Dam, which was under construction, and they went and sabotaged that project. They really are. They're true mercenaries. They do everything to prevent progress. When there are harvests that could benefit the people, for them, those must be burned. They make the population suffer in hopes of stirring them up against the authorities. When roads are being built, they go and destroy the machinery used for construction. Is all of this Islam? Is any of this Islam? This is mercenary work. This is what Emmanuel Macron wants. Emmanuel Macron does not want us to build roads in Mali. The best way for Emmanuel Macron to prevent this is to send his mercenaries, send his terrorists to burn the machinery, to burn the harvest. All of this is to try to incite the population. We talk about an energy crisis. We do everything to get the Tausa dams up and running, and they go after these dams. Our authorities are working, but Macron and his mercenaries are determined to stop these efforts. That is why we have other proposals to make to the AS armies. You know, our armies and even African armies as a whole were not prepared to face a guerrilla war. No, we might have expected to confront a conventional army in the context of a traditional war. But this is a guerrilla force with experience gained elsewhere. It's a method of harassment where the enemy is almost invisible. They come, destroy the equipment and disappear. They come, bend the crops and disappear. But you can't have a soldier on every square meter of the territory. It's just not possible. In every country in the world, soldiers have bases where they are stationed and they have security posts. Back in the day, we used to call them militias who would bend the harvest afterward. They come and then they put the leaves and then they disappear. They strike and then disappear. And taking advantage of the time when democratic families were running our countries, not building enough roads, taking advantage of this chaos of roads that were very poorly constructed. Imagine asphalt roads built less than 20 years ago are now almost unusable. The money was embezzled. They put the country into debt. They present it, they say, we built a 200-kilometer road, but how long does the road last? 10 years, 15 years, for how many billions? So they also take advantage of this chaos that was carefully prepared. You know, the problem runs very deep. The problem is very, very deep. We are making proposals to the authorities of the AS. Everywhere roads are being built. With those machines, you need to put as many people as possible, as many people as you can. We need to recruit. But can the army today, with our military budgets, can we recruit that many people? But our strength is the youth. We need to mobilize volunteers. First. Secondly, these people, from what we have understood, because we have tried to observe, to understand their methods, their methodology. They come to buy things in the villages and then suddenly they are off into the bush. We need to place volunteers in every village so that they can no longer get in. They're not any tougher than our brothers or cousins who are in the village. The only thing that sets them apart is the weapon. We need to find a way to prevent them from resupplying from our villages. We must do everything we can to build those roads, because with that, the army can intervene quickly and they will be afraid. Everywhere we have good roads, they struggle to thrive, but everywhere there are hardly any roads. That's where they thrive, because they know how long it might take the army to reach their position. Because they are very mobile, they move around. And thirdly, I think the armies of the Sahel, it's guerrilla warfare. We really need to adapt to and even anticipate this kind of guerrilla warfare. We need to be much more mobile than these people. They move around on motorcycles. We need to move around on motorcycles twice as much as they do. Everywhere they think they're hidden, they take advantage of the night to try to move. That's when we need to multiply our night vision drones, each equipped with missiles. Can you keep buying all these missiles? I'm thinking of Mali, Niger, and probably Burkina as well. In Mali, in any case, we have a large depot like that. I think even in Nigeria and Burkina, where we were already manufacturing weapons, we need to try to improvise to bring some fire into our traditions. The blacksmiths have a certain expertise. If you bring the shells there, you try to dismantle them. By bringing together some of our engineers and very good electricians, we could start mass producing rockets and missiles ourselves. Because as soon as we have enough, If we could use 50 of them every day, they would be filled up there in 6 to 9 months. Because those missiles are very expensive, we need to produce as many as we can. It's earthy and it's less cruel. We need to adapt the legislation of Eastern countries and show that we are above their level. We really have to adapt because they are terrorizing the population. It can't stay like this. We have to find something else. These terrorists, they're mercenaries. And mercenaries, we know how to reach them. We need to have enough aerial surveillance resources. Yes, enough resources. Why? Because they always come from a border. We need to spot them well before they enter our territory. We have to improvise. We have to surpass ourselves to counter these people. Were African armies prepared to counter people trained by the imperialists? Heavily armed, well prepared. The imperialists who used to run our ministries of defense, yes, they had advisors everywhere in our ministries. It almost took sovereignists coming to power to kick them out. When facing people who have infiltrated us so deeply, what should we do? They know the locations of some of our camps. What should we do? I think we need to find a game changer in this situation so we can put an end to this mercenary activity. They are very loud, very barbaric. It's not really them, it's the countries behind them. And all this, for what reason? To incite the population to rise up or to force us to negotiate with them. These are the two objectives they are pursuing. What does it mean to negotiate with them? Accepting terrorist funding. Our armies are already doing a good job. We are in the process of neutralizing them. We are destroying them. But now it's about finishing them off. Our Minister of Defense, General Sadio Kamara, was on the Kidal front. In the past, we used to pay to go to Kidal. We used to pay a lot. Now, we don't pay anymore. And he went to visit a gold refining site. By the way, tomorrow I think we'll come back to this. Tomorrow, if we have time, yes, we'll come back to General Sadio Kamara's trip, the Malian Minister of Defense, to the Kidal area. He visited a gold refining site. You know that Algeria today is the African country with the largest gold reserves. Did you know that? Yet, Algeria is not one of the major gold producers in Africa. Algeria did not buy them elsewhere. It is, for the most part, gold stolen from Mali, specifically gold refined in Kidal. Algiers today has more than 173.6 kilograms and 6 tons of gold. That's what's in storage. And just imagine, Algiers started stockpiling this starting from 2006. From 2006 to 2023. The time it took Mali to drive them out of Kidal, it was only during this period that Algiers accumulated all this. In the 2000s, Algiers had nothing, not a single gram of gold. All of this started from 2006. They say 2003, but it's actually 2006. And when we took control of Kidal, that's when they decided to reopen their gold mine, which they had managed, they had even suspended operations at their largest gold mine. It was only after we liberated Kidal that they decided to reopen their gold mine to restart production. And meanwhile, we keep saying, these are poor countries. I even see Tebunet trolls telling us take charity and so on. Sarake, we are the first to give you this. You never gave us that. Don't fool yourselves. You give that to the terrorist group. We don't need you. What do you even have yourselves? What do you have? Here, thank God, people eat morning, noon and night. You've seen it, Mali, a family country that just imperialist propaganda. Charity, that's you. You take charity from Emmanuel Macron. They gave you documents there as charity. So know how to speak to people. People of Africa, here's what we're dealing with. We salute the authorities of Burkina Faso and the Haitian authorities of Burkina Faso for this record seizure. And we take this opportunity to tell all the authorities in the East that we must make full use of technology. We need to put tracks on all the bikes there so that we know which merchant sold what to whom, so that we know what went where. Let's try to track things. If they come to steal any kind of weapon, that weapon should be tracked until it reaches the person. We need to find a way to track everything that belongs to us. Implement traceability. Traceability, yes, it's possible thanks to technology. Thank you, and see you tomorrow for another topic at the forefront of the news.